Some of you all may not know, but there's an election this year in Richmond, in the Commonwealth, and here in the United States of America. And we are 41 days from Election Day on November 5th. This year, we have a lot of offices up for election, including those here at the local level and the national level. Richmonders will be voting for president, vice president, senator, congressional representative, mayor, city council, and school board. And I also believe there will be a referendum question on the ballot as well. Also, this would be also the first time that many folks will be voting in new district lines for city council and for the school board. So if you have any questions about what district, what ward you're voting in, I ask that you go to rva.gov to see what district you're in. So folks, the direction of our country, the direction of our state, our city hall, are all up for grabs, and it's critical that you make your voice heard by casting a vote in this year's election. And there's many ways to vote before Election Day. We have now entered an era here in the Commonwealth of Virginia that there is no excuse for you not to vote. And the first thing you need to do is check your voter registration. So if I'm you, and if I want to know whether or not I am registered to vote, I would go to iwillvote.com to check if you are registered and to find your local polling place. And folks, the deadline to register to vote or update any existing registration is October 15th. The deadline for updating your registration or to register to vote is October 15th. Here's another important date. The deadline to apply for a ballot to be mailed to you to cast your ballot is October 25th. You may request, you must request to receive a ballot by your local voter registration office by 5 p.m. Now, last Friday, we kicked off early voting here in the Commonwealth. Early voting will continue until Saturday, November 2nd. And currently, you can early vote at the following locations. You can early vote at 2134 West Lumburnum Avenue. That is where the Office of Elections resides. They're open from 8:30 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And starting on October 7th to November 2nd, you can vote early at the following satellite locations, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that's the Office of Elections on Lumburnum Avenue, City Hall right here at 900 East Broad Street, and also at Hickory Hill Community Center in Southside at 3000 East Belt Boulevard. Additionally, there will be early voting available on Saturday, August 26th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday, October 7th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, November 2nd from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at all three of those satellite locations. Once again, the office on Lumburnum Avenue, right here at City Hall, downtown, and also in Southside as well at Hickory Hill Community Centers. Like I said earlier, there's no excuse for you not to cast your ballot. And because this election is critically important, there's just too much at stake for you to stay home and sit on the couch. So once again, please go out there and check out iwillvote.com. That's the letter iwillvote.com, and make a plan to vote and cast your ballot. Now I wanted to switch gears and talk a little about an issue that's near and dear to this administration, and that's the issue of affordable housing here in Richmond. As you all know, we are celebrating the creation of the affordable housing units in Richmond every chance that I get, and we have been hard at work in addressing our affordable housing crisis here in the city. As you all know, to address affordable housing, we need an abundance of housing, which means we need more supply to meet the amount of demand that we're seeing here in Richmond. And that requires all types of housing, all types of housing. When I talk about all types of housing, I mean we need multifamily, we need condos, we need single family homes, we need duplexes, we need triplexes, we need ADU, we need all of it. We need an abundance of housing here in Richmond, and just during the fiscal 23, fiscal year 24 year, we have created 3,358 units of housing And in other words, we're exceeding our annual goal of 1,000 units per year. We also have created 185 single-family homes as well here in Richmond. Normally, folks will think that single-family living will only be in Henrico and Chesterfield, but no, you can still find single-family living right here in Richmond. Now we know that we still need more housing. We need various levels of affordability, but that is why I'm proud of the Affordable Housing and Performance Grant Program that we launched. It's a game changer for our city. And this past Monday, City Council approved 7 new affordable housing and performance grants to create 880 new affordable housing units through this program. 332 units will be between 0 and 50% of average median income. 198 units will be between 50 and 80% of average median income. And 146 units will be above 80% average median income. And folks, I have to say that is a huge deal for the city of Richmond. Since 2022, the performance grants alone, we have issued grants that have totaled in 2,022 new units that will be coming out of the ground for rentals here in the city. Folks, this program is designed to induce the private development of new, affordable, multifamily units by providing annual grants to offset a development's incremental real estate tax burden for an initial 15-year period, with the potential for an additional 15-year benefit as well. Having tools like this in our toolbox, along with our dedicated funding streams, as you all know, $50 million devoted to affordable housing with a $50 million match from LISC as well, creating a pool of $100 million. These tools are game changers for our city, and these tools will work to address the housing crisis we have and that we've been facing. I will say this, I'm proud of the work of our city in the Housing and Community Development Office. We have essentially created more affordable housing than any locality I know in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I'm willing to be fact-checked on that. I don't think there's a locality in this state that has produced the amount of affordable housing we have here in the city. And I'm here to tell you all that we still need more, and more. And so once again, my hat's off to the Housing Community Development team. Thank you for the City Council for approving the 7 grants this past Monday. And I'm looking forward to more of those in this real estate community to reach out to us and use this great tool to continue to invest in affordable housing for more and more Richmonders. With that, I'll open myself up to some questions.
Mr. Mayor, I know we're early on in the investigation, but any comments or anything you know about the 11-year-old that was shot last night?
Yeah. The question was about, do I know anything about the 11-year-old that was shot and wounded last night? I do hear that the 11-year-old is in stable condition. But this is another incident right here where it just demonstrates that we have too many damn guns in our community. This seems to be domestic in nature, but the fact that an 11-year-old is wounded laying up in the hospital today should concern everyone. And so I know that the Richmond Police Department will continue with their investigation. To receive that text message last night, a little bit after midnight, I had to ask the question because all I saw was the birth date and I said an 11-year-old? And it was confirmed that it was an 11-year-old. And so my prayers are with the family, hoping for a speedy recovery. But these sort of incidents are happening way too often in our community, and I want to see an end to it. I want the individual who did this to be held accountable, obviously, and I'm hoping that the investigation will find who is truly the culprit to to this issue. So,
Any follow-ups?
Not a follow-up, but a completely unrelated.
sure.
Samuel, you go.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, well, one of the things you talked about is the possible hit to funding for services that are.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry, Sam.
One of the things you talked about is the possible hit to funding for services that a real estate tax might cause. And my understanding from talking with council members is what they're talking about doing is taking the surplus. So the number above the projection for real estate tax revenue, about 30 million is my understanding. And the proposal on the table would cost the city, I think, between 15 and 16 million.
That's right.
Is there a way that surplus can be used either to a rebate or a tax cut without impacting those services?
The question was, this is the talk about cutting the real estate tax rate. Folks have asked about the surplus. We have a projected surplus at the moment. I want to thank the team over at our budget office for their conservative budget projections, and also our departments on how we utilize the budget. What I think members of the city council sometimes don't get is that this projection is about this fiscal year. Cutting the rate means cutting the rate in perpetuity. Remember, our tax rate currently at $1.20 per 100 is the lowest rate the city's ever seen. There are localities in the Commonwealth who cut their rate around, let's say, the Great Recession era and have gone up since then. Richmond has remained the same. We have remained flat at that same rate for over a decade plus. Now, here's the thing. Our city is growing steadily, and it will continue to grow. And so why tie the hands of future city councils to respond to that growth? With more people will come more demand for city services. That means more demand for public safety, more demand for road maintenance, more demand for social services. So cutting the rate will have an impact on the delivery of those services in the future. I know that is an election, and it's 41 days away, and people want to focus on the here and now. The job of our administration is not only to focus on the here and now, but also to consider the future. And so why would we tie the hands of a future city council and a future mayor to respond to the growth that we're seeing here in our city?
Can you talk a little bit about the potential impact on capital improvement project funding?
That's a great question, Samuel. It was, what would be the impact on the capital improvement plan? Now, the capital improvement plan, for those out there, let me provide some context, is our plan to respond to maintenance needs and to upgrade infrastructure throughout the city. We're talking about city buildings or facilities. We're talking about road infrastructure. We're talking about sidewalks. And we're talking about, firehouses and, police precincts, you name it. Anything that is a hard piece of hard infrastructure for the city, that's what's seen in our capital improvement plan. Now, for every cent is a $4 million cut to our general fund. But for every cent, I believe it's $50 million in financing. So a 4-cent reduction in the real estate tax rate could equal $200 million in cuts to the capital improvement plan. I think I heard today $200 million, that's essentially like the paving plan for the city of Richmond for almost probably like a decade's worth of paving right there. Why would we go backwards on infrastructure when we've seen what it looks like to have roads that are considered in bad condition? Why go backwards on investing in more sidewalks, investing in up-to-date facilities that our kids in community centers, things of that nature that our kids are in? Why would we do that? We have to think beyond the next 41 days. Let me just, so a word of advice to those who are running for office, particularly those incumbents who should know better. We have to think beyond the next 41 days. Many of our members of city council have proposed additional programming, additional initiatives. And now they're saying they don't need those initiatives? And with 41 days left? So I get it. They want you to vote for them. They should be talking about all the things that we do that no other locality in the Commonwealth of Virginia does. No one does. We were the first locality in this state to pilot and now institutionalize a guaranteed income program, basic income for those families living on the brink. We're the first locality, the only locality probably that provides a free community college education to any RPS graduate. We're one of the only localities in the state to provide funding for early childhood possibilities to providers and grants to those who need it. We have a positive youth development fund that funds nonprofits who tackle the issue of gun violence in our communities. To me, these are not niceties. They are necessary to respond to the demographic we see here in our capital city. No one else does it. We do. So the question I have for members of the city council is, do you want to go backwards on infrastructure? Do you want to go backwards on the social safety net programming that we put in place post the pandemic?
One more, if that's all right.
Sure.
My understanding is that the 4-cent reduction on the table, that still, the percentage reduction is still not equal to the percentage increase in assessments. So is there a chance that that would offset, that the city would still be able to collect a lot of revenue with assessments going up, even if the tax rate were 4 cents lower? Because if I'm correct, that still wouldn't match the rollback rate.
The question is whether or not the rollback rate to 4 cents would match the assessment. Well, here's what I will say, Samuel. The future is unpredictable. We have been lucky that we have not had a serious recession since, roughly 2008, right? We had the pandemic recession, which we could not have predicted, but we were able to bounce back and respond to that pretty well. But who knows whether or not another recession is around the corner? And the last time we cut the real estate tax, I think within the next year or two, we saw a downturn in the economy. And so we had cut the real estate tax and boom, a downturn in the economy. And guess who paid the price for that? Richmond residents, particularly those living on the margins. Police department was essentially defunded, lost funding. Firefighters lost funding. We had to cut our budgets back then. What I believe in is what Maya Angelou said, once you know better, do better. Do the best you can until you know better, and once you know better, do better. I'm sure that we can find a way to ensure that those who are in the greatest need are provided relief during these times. And that's exactly what I've instructed my administration to research and review, and we are still doing that. And in the coming days, you will hear more from this administration. Okay?
I don't know if the city has a role in this, but on the 30th, the new FDA requirements go into effect for raising how old basically people are checked for photo IDs for buying tobacco products. And so I don't know, does the city have any involvement in making sure stores are in compliance with those things? Because are we going to ensure this?
I don't want to give you a wrong answer here, Cam, on this. Asking about the new FDA regulations coming to play and whether or not the city will have a role in terms of regulating some of these places that are selling tobacco products. I believe this is more of a Department of Health regulatory arm of the Commonwealth of Virginia. But we are aware that there are stores, business fronts that are popping up around the city that folks have reviewed that there are chemicals that are not were supposed to be in some of these products that are in some of these products. That is dangerous. I'm okay with folks starting their business, hanging their shingle, but at the end of the day, we have to ensure the public health of the entire population here in the city of Richmond. And so I welcome the state and federal governments jumping in and ensuring that these products are legal to be sold over the counter.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.